Welcome to today's 5-minute Bible study in the book of the Exodus. We're in Exodus chapter 12, which tells us of the institution of the Passover. Now, of course, the Passover is connected with the 10th plague, the destruction of the firstborn in each Egyptian household. Let's read about how the Passover was instituted. Now the Lord said to Moses and to Aaron in Egypt, "This month is to be for you the first month of your year." So this becomes the first month of the new year for the Israelites, because this is the month in which God redeems them. Tell the whole community of Israel, on the 10th day of the month, each man is to take a lamb for his family, one for each household. Now, if the household is too small for a whole lamb, they may share with the nearest neighbor. You are to determine the amount of the lamb needed in accordance with what each person will eat. The lamb you choose must be a year-old male without defect. Take care of them until the 14th day of the month, when all the people of the community of Israel must slaughter them at twilight. Then they are to take some of the blood and put it on the sides and the tops of the door frames of the houses where they eat the lambs. That same night they are to eat the meat roasted over the fire, along with bitter herbs and bread without yeast. Do not eat the meat raw or cooked in water. Roast it over the fire, head, legs, and inner parts. Do not leave any of it until the morning. If some is left till the morning, you must burn it. This is how you are to eat it, with your cloak tucked into your belt, your sandals on your feet, your staff in your hand. Eat it in haste. It is the Lord's Passover. On that same night, I will pass through Egypt, and I will strike down every firstborn. I will bring judgment on all the gods of Egypt. I am the Lord. Now the blood will be a sign for you on the houses where you are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you. No destructive plague will touch you when I strike Egypt. This is the beginning of the Passover on the occasion of the final plague. We're quite familiar with it, are we not? Each Israelite family sacrificed a year-old lamb and placed the blood on the doorpost of their home, on the sides and on the top frame. The blood of the lamb protected them. They ate the meal, the lamb, along with bitter herbs. The herbs would represent, of course, the bitterness of their bondage. And unleavened bread. Bread made in haste. Don't have time for the yeast to rise. While they were eating the Lord's Passover, the angel of death would pass through the land. Every Egyptian household would be struck. The firstborn son would perish. But where the blood protected the home, blood of the Israelites, the lamb passed over. Now they are told this is to be a generation for all history to remember God's great redemptive act. And so, of course, the Hebrew people still, even to this day, celebrate the Passover. As God brings judgment on Egypt and redeems his children Israel, forming a nation for himself. Now, we love the story of the Passover and how God delivered his children from bondage in Egypt. But we also understand that from the Christian perspective, that the Passover is also a prophetic foreshadowing of what Christ will do. How he will one day deliver us from our slavery to sin. In the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 5, verses 7 and 8, the Apostle Paul is talking to the Corinthians about the unleavened bread. And he says that not the fact that there's no yeast in the bread represents that Christ removes our sin for us. And then he says that Jesus is our Passover lamb. Listen to these verses. We're in 1 Corinthians 5, verses 7 and 8. Get rid of the old yeast that you may be a new batch without yeast, as you really are. Now here's the important phrase. For Christ, our Passover lamb, has been sacrificed. Therefore, let us keep the festival, not with the old yeast, the yeast of malice and wickedness, but with bread without yeast, the bread of sincerity and the bread of truth. Christ, our Passover lamb, has been sacrificed. The Passover lamb is symbolic and prophetic of Christ, who comes as our Passover lamb, who shed his blood on the cross for us. And when we believe in Jesus, his blood is applied to us, and we are protected by the blood. Just as the Israelites were protected by the blood of the Lamb, it was on their doorpost and the angel of death passed over. So we are protected by the blood of the Lamb. Jesus is our Passover lamb. And as we have believed in him, his blood has covered our sin. We are protected from the penalty of sin. It passes over, for he paid the price for us. Jesus is our Passover lamb. So the Passover has great meaning for us. For its historical significance of the deliverance of Israel from bondage in Egypt, we love the wonder of what God did, but also that it represents in a prophetic way how Christ would redeem us. For Jesus is our Passover lamb. Yes, we love the story of the Passover and how it speaks to us of what Christ has done for us. Amen and amen. Hope you have a great day today, and I'll see you for our next session of our 5-minute Bible study in the book of the Exodus.